just us. Okay.
Yeah, that would be great because I actually I have another commitment tonight. So as soon as we're done, I'm gonna or do my part. If you don't mind, I'm gonna.
It's not a problem. Okay. All right. So tonight, speaker is Michelle Prince. She's a good friend of mine. She teaches people how to write books, and she's very good at it. I've known her for over 10 years, and she's got an outstanding reputation in her field. And without further ado, I'm going to let her take over. If you'd like, in the middle of your screen on the bottom, there's a show screen button, and you could show slides if you want, and they'll record. If you want. If you want. There you go. There you go. You're on. So I'm going to mute my microphone so there's no background noise.
Okay.
And then I'll come back at the end. Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Howard. I'm excited. And I'm excited to share something that I'm very passionate about, and that's your story. You know, the topic is called The Power of Your Story, but we all have a story. And even if you don't think you have a story, you do have a story. But more importantly, what I want to talk about is how you can leverage your story to not only help more people, but to build your business, to build your brand, just to build. If you're trying to build a speaking platform, having a book is one of the easiest ways to do that. So, but I always like to start off with my favorite quote. My mentor is Zig Ziglar. And the quote that has, for years, has really just resonated with me is, "Man was designed for accomplishment, engineered for success, and endowed with the seeds of greatness." And the reason I think I like that quote so much is when I first heard it, I thought, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter where you've been or what you've been through. We all have these seeds of greatness. We're born with them, whether you believe you have them or not, doesn't matter, but they're there. And I'm very visual too. So I always kind of imagine, little seeds. A little packet of seeds you can get at Home Depot or somewhere. Well, I kind of imagine that we all have these little packet of seeds in us. And some of us have, we know about the seeds. We've ripped open the package and we've thrown them out and we've nurtured it and watered it. And that's when all of our seeds take root, right? That's when you start to see a little bit of growth there, which eventually leads to, all that you're meant to be. But the sad thing is so many people go through life and they never even open that packet of seeds. They never even recognize that they have these seeds of greatness. And so that's really the travesty. And the reason I share that quote again is it's this isn't just about writing a book, but no matter what you do, you have an opportunity to impact other people. You have an opportunity to take that little tiny seed and really make it explode. But you have to have some clarity first on what it is you want, what it is you want to help people do, and who do you want to help. And so that's what I'm hoping today I can shed a little light on. But first, for those of you who are thinking, I'm not really sure I want to write a book. I'm not sure I have what it takes to write a book. Let me give you a couple reasons that I believe that you should write a book, or at least consider it. And the first thing is your story matters. I don't even have to spend, if I had an opportunity to talk to each one of you individually, I could spend 5 minutes with you, and I guarantee you I'd find out you have a story, because we all have one. We've all been through something with it, whether it be professionally, personally, good or bad. We've been through things that have shaped our lives. But that story, it matters. And even if it matters to one person, whether it be your spouse, your kids, your neighbors, your community, the story matters enough to share it. So if you get nothing else out of this presentation, I just hope you know you have a story and it matters. But the other thing is your story is going to give you instant credibility. And what I mean by instant is, especially if you're trying to be a speaker, you can see somebody up on a stage. You can be impressed with somebody long before you read their book. So having a book is not necessarily about what's in the book, the content. Now, it's extremely important, and I am a publisher, and I'm very big on making sure that it's good quality content. But the key is, though, you're getting that credibility before somebody even opens the book. So it's instant. People see you in a different way. They see you as credible. They see you as, the expert, because that's what having a book does for you. It just establishes you as the expert. It gives you more opportunities. It creates leverage. A perfect example of this is, and I keep using the speaking example, but that's what I do. I am a speaker just like Howard, and I'm sure like many of you. And the opportunities that are attracted to authors is so great and so unique, because what does a meeting planner need? They need a credible expert to be on their stage. Who's the credible expert? The author. So opportunities to speak, to coach, to, opportunities to maybe do more with your business are there when you have a book. The other thing is, and this is something that I've learned a lot through the years, and it is time and time and time again, it just proves to be true. We do business with people we like. I mean, that's just the bottom line. My friend Bob Berg said that in his book, The Go-Giver, he said that people do business with those they know, like, and trust. And think about that. The last time you bought anything, you probably knew the person, or you knew something about the person. You definitely liked them, because we don't tend to want to buy things from people that we don't like. But more than anything, we trust them. Well, one thing I believe is that the easiest way for any of your customers to get to know, like, and trust you is to know your story. And that's why we're talking about it today. And I hope you don't mind, because I don't know how many of you know me or not. So if it's okay with you, I want to share just a little bit of my story, so it'll kind of explain why I am so passionate about helping people to get their story out. And my story actually started back in 1989. And yes, that's a horrible picture of me. And yes, it was a long time ago, back in the 80s. But this has relevance, because this picture was taken just 2 months after one of the most life-changing moments for me. I was 18 years old, and I was just getting ready to go off to college. And my parents sent me to a Born to Win seminar, which, you don't know what that is. That was Zig Ziglar's signature seminar, 3 days. People came from all over the world to attend the seminar, and everyone's so excited to be there except for me. I was livid that my parents sent me there. They sent my brother and I. And, now that I look back, I'm very grateful for it. But at the time I thought, gosh, I don't want to spend 3 days here. Especially I don't want to be motivated. I'm 18 years old. But the truth is that weekend changed my life. Not only did it open my eyes to so many things that I know that we as adults know are so important, like goal setting and self-esteem building and relationships and so much more. I'm learning at such an young age. But what happened to me in that event is something just stirred me up. I loved it. I loved everything about it. I know now that what I discovered that weekend was my passion. I'm passionate about personal development, about, being around like-minded people and doing things to be the best that we can be. But I didn't know what that was at the time. I just knew I loved the seminar. So at the end of the seminar, I'm waiting in line to get my book signed by Zig Ziglar, just like everybody else was. And I walk up to him, and I'm so excited. And I look him, I shake his hand, and I look him in the eye, and I say, Mr. Ziglar, I'm going to work for you one day. You just wait and see, but I'm going to work for you. And it was literally almost 5 years later to the day that I ended up working for Zig in the corporate office. And it's a long, crazy, funny story, and I don't have time to go through it, but it just know that was one of the most awesome experiences, because I dreamed of doing it at 18. 5 years later, I'm actually working for Zig. Now, please don't judge the hair or the clothes, all that. That's just kind of the through the years with me and Zig. But that was the beginning of a beautiful, beautiful career, but also just a beautiful relationship, friendship with the family, with Jean and Tom and Cindy and Julie and of course Zig. But, things shifted. So I ended up working at the corporate office in sales for about 3.5 years. And it was around the dot-com boom, which was, when everybody was getting offered lots of money to go into technology. And I got an offer to go into software sales. So I ended up quitting Ziglar, which was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made, because I had to choose between following my passion or following the money. I was 20-something years old, so I followed the money. So I quit. I moved on, and I spent the next 13 years in software sales, and I was successful, but I was miserable. I was so far from my passion, which is what I was doing at Ziglar, which was motivating, inspiring, and encouraging other people. And no matter how much money or fame or success I had in software, because I was successful, it just didn't fill the void. So during a couple of those years, I started to really think, well, what is it I want to do? What is it I'm here for? There's got to be more than just software sales for me. And one thing that kept coming up for me over and over and over in my internal thoughts, I never shared this with anybody, was I wanted to write a book. Now, I didn't dare tell a soul, because I had such a low self-esteem, and I thought, who would want to read anything I have to say? Or I don't have anything to say. I always compare myself and say to in my head, you're no Zig Ziglar. So why would you write a book? But that changed for me about it was just 10 years ago in August. believe it or not, in 2008, I had another aha moment. The moment I had it at 18 when I said I wanted to work for Zig and all that, and I knew I wanted to be working with him someday. But in 2008, I was still in software, but I just had this aha moment of all these years I keep saying, I have nothing to say, I have nothing to say. And then it hit me, wait a minute, I do have something to say, and it's just my story. You see, your story is your story is your story is your story. You can't change it, unfortunately, in some cases. But the good news is what you have been through, your experiences, your passions, even the difficulties, that creates your story that will then, if shared, help other people. So I set out in 2008 to write this book, and I did it. It was called Winning in Life Now, How to Break Through to a Happier You. And it was not a story about me being great and wonderful and having a wonderful life. It was a story about me struggling with self-esteem, with, having to use personal development to get me out of some tough times. And I also shared about working with Zig, and he was gracious enough to write the foreword for me. It was a beautiful time in my life. And I wrote the book, I published it, it was printed, and I held it in my hand, and about 5 people knew. My mom, my dad, my husband, and my kids. No joke. I did this, and then I never did anything with it because I still didn't have that belief that I had a story that people cared about. I'm sorry I'm making this long, but I'm going to try to make it this a little shorter. The bottom line is somebody challenged me, and they said, Michelle, you talk a lot about wanting to make a difference. You want to help people, but you can't help anyone if you don't share your story. And that was a big kick in my pants because I thought, you know what? They're right. So in that moment or in the next week, I decided I'm going to do this. I started telling everybody about my book. I ended up learning everything I could about marketing. I put together a campaign to launch my book. And before I knew it, not only was I a best-selling author, but I was getting calls to speak. I was getting calls to coach. Fast forward now 10 years, this is what I do full time. This is my career. And I'm so incredibly blessed, so incredibly fortunate that all of this happened. But I'm telling you this because none of this would be possible for me and all the things I get to do now if I didn't write my book. I was the exact same person the day before I wrote a book and the exact same person the day after. But what changed was that credibility, that authority. People instantly saw me as the expert that they wanted to pay to speak or to coach or to do all kinds of other things. So I'm sharing that with you to say, I am no different than you. And if you've ever thought that you have maybe an idea for a book, or maybe you thought you want to help people or make a difference, I just want to encourage you that this is how you do it. Because you can share, you can go to one-on-ones, you can go to lunches, you can have coffee with 1 million people, but you will never have the impact that you will get to have as a speaker to impact thousands of people at once. And the people who get on those stages are authors. So that's a little bit of my story, and there's so much more to it. But my question is what is your story? What is it that you can share with somebody else personally or professionally? Because this could go either way, right? You may be so good in your particular industry. Maybe you are just hitting the numbers in a particular industry that you could share that with other people that would want to know how you're getting there. Or maybe you've been through some personal stories or personal challenges that you've overcome, and sharing that with somebody else could inspire them, give them hope. That's what your story is. It's a combination between your passion, what lights you up, and your experience. And the reason I say passion is so important is once you write a book, you're going to be talking about it for a long, long time. So it better be something you're passionate about. And there's a whole formula that I go through. I actually do an event called Bookbound that teaches people how to get it out of their head and onto paper and all that. But so there is a formula, but just to net it real quickly, passion, experience, and the intersection of the two. So before you can really, though, know your story, and there's all, like I said, different ways to do it. I've found that those who are the most successful as authors, as speakers, as people who are building a platform is they have clarity. They know exactly who they want to help, what they want to do, what they want to say. And really that's where it starts. So I want to help you by kind of really getting down in the nitty gritty of that is, what do you really want? And think about this. You don't have to share this with anybody, but really start to think about this and evaluate it. Is, some of you may be here because you have a business and you're ready for it just to explode. This is your year, or maybe this coming year is that you just want to knock it out of the park in your business. And that's fantastic. You just need to know that. That's what's your why. That's what's leading you. Others of you, maybe you already have a successful business, but you just want to stand out or differentiate or, just get more credibility, be that, the go-to authority in your niche, right? You want to be the person when somebody says, I want to have somebody in real estate come speak at my event. You want to be that one at top of mind, like, oh, I have the perfect person or something like that. Maybe that's your goal, and that's great. I'm sure many of you do what you do because you want to help people. I mean, that's just kind of the bottom line of why we do a lot of things. And if that's what's leading you and that's your why, awesome. Just know it, have clarity around it so that you can make decisions of how to do that. Some of you want to attract more opportunities. I don't have time today, but one of the things that I do talk a lot about, especially in my seminar, is it's not just about a book, okay? A book is a book, right? It's a means to an end. It's the content in the book that matters. So that content can be repurposed. That can be an ebook. That can be a seminar. That can be a coaching program. That can be a digital course or a podcast or a blog. So the content is what's going to allow you to open more opportunities, attract more opportunities. There's so much power behind the opportunities that are attracted to authors. It's never about just a book or book sales. It's about everything else you can attract. And if that's what you want, you are in the right place. I assure you. And that goes along with multiple revenue streams. So if you're attracting all these new opportunities, well, then you're adding to your multiple revenue streams. So not only do you have revenue from product sales, book sales, of course, but there's revenue from speaking. There's revenue from taking that content and then coaching people one-on-one or taking that and putting it into a mastermind. That's how very successful people, influencers, create massive income streams, is because they know to just take that content and repurpose it. If that's what you want, awesome. Then your strategy that's the strategy you need to follow. But if I had an opportunity to sit down with each one of you and ask you how many of you want to make a difference or have you raise your hand, I can promise you all of you would raise your hand. Because just within all of us, there's something that we just want to help people. We want to make a difference. We want to know that what we're doing matters. It's why most of us entrepreneurs get into doing what we do, because we want to make a difference. Well, this is what I know to be true. If you want to make a difference, whether it be to one person or to millions of people around the world, you have to tell your story. You have to know what it is that you can share with someone else to make a difference, and you have to get it in a book if you want to get all of those opportunities that are attracted to authors. And it's really not as difficult as you think. I mean, it's not rocket science. People who know me well, Howard knows me, we've known each other for years and years and years. This is not rocket science, because if I can do this, you can do this. But it's the people that actually do it. That's why so much credibility is drawn to them, because so few people actually follow through. They say they want to write a book. They say they want to make a difference. They say they want to grow a business, but they don't do it. So what I'm encouraging you to do is to rethink that and really look for ways that you can leverage your story and use it as your business card. This is my last book that I wrote. I'm working on a couple right now, but this is the last one that I published. It's called Your Book is Your Business Card. And it is so true, because, people will throw away a business card. I mean, hate to say it, but it happens all the time. They're going to throw away a brochure even. But people don't throw away a book. There's just something powerful. I mean, think about this. Test it for yourself. How many books do you have on your bookshelf or on your nightstand that you've never read, and maybe you never will read, but you're not going to throw it away, right? So if that's the case, and if you write a book for no other reason than just from a marketing perspective, there is no greater marketing tool than a book, because people will always hold on to it. In fact, I have a publishing company, and we do publish books for people. We teach people how to do it themselves, but we can also do it for you. And I had this client call me up, and it's somebody I had met at an event, I don't know, a year and a half ago. And she said, I just had to call you because your book has been sitting on my desk ever since I met you. And that was like, that's what I'm talking about. It is so powerful. Do you think my business card would be sitting on her desk a year and a half later? Definitely not. So think of it that way. In the end, though, just know writing a book, getting your story, getting, all what you have in your head organized, which can be some of the hardest parts, and then taking it through publishing and marketing it's just a recipe. It really is just, steps that you need to know. What are the ingredients? You have to know what order to put them in, right? So that you just follow that recipe. You can either publish a book yourself. Self-publishing is such an easy way to get a book out there. Or, you can have somebody else help you, whether you outsource that effort or something. But just know it's simple. It's a checklist. It's a checklist. And that checklist and what you do is what I provide when I do my book-bound events. And I just want to share real quickly, for those of you who are interested and are thinking about writing a book, I would love to invite you. And Howard, you definitely, I know you've been a part of what I've been doing for years now, and you're more aware of it. But book-bound is something that I'm so passionate about, because every single person that comes through that door leaves with a book. Every single person. I've yet to have, in the 10 years I've been doing this, I've yet to have anyone, even if they think they're coming to support the spouse, not figure out what their story is and put it in an outline. And so it's powerful. But we don't just figure out what your story is. We then take you through the publishing process. What do you need to do if you do it on your own? How do you build a platform, a speaker's platform? How do you get your book on Amazon? How do you do audiobooks and all the things that go along with it. So I'd love to invite you to come join me. And I say it's in my happy place because it's by the beach. It's in Destin, Florida. This is actually the beach really close to it. And it's going to be January 25th through the 27th. And I have many guest speakers. Tom Ziegler will be there, Zig Ziglar's son, and Howard Partridge, and a bunch of other people that are there strictly just to help you get clarity on your message and get it out to the world. So if you're interested, bookboundbythesea.com. And for Howard's group, anyone that registers gets to not just come for them by themselves, you get to bring a guest for free. So that's a $600 value. And it's just bookboundbythesea.com. And right now we're still a couple, 2-3 months out. We're about 80% full. So we still have a couple seats left for you. But if the dates don't work, and I hear this all the time, I'd love to come, but I'm booked speaking that weekend or whatever, we do have another option. So the course, the seminar has actually been recorded. We have it as a digital course for people that want to just go at their own pace. And that's called Bookbound Online. And you can just go to bookboundonline.com. But I want to end with going back where I started. I talked about those seeds of greatness. And the fact that we all have them, right? And we have them, and we each have individual gifts, different gifts. And that's the beauty of people, right? We have different things to bring to the table. But a gift is meant to be given away. And if we have all of these things within us and we're not sharing them with other people, then we're guaranteed to not be making a difference. And so part of why I encourage people to write a book is, use the book as your business card, leverage it, because it does work. But also, if you really want to make an impact, one of the best ways to do it is to just share your story, because there's so much power in it. So I will turn it back over to Howard. And, if you have questions, Howard, or if there's anything else you want me to touch base on, I'm happy to.
I was just going to say, I've written 4 books, and I know that everything that Michelle is telling you is true, that it's what starts your career as a speaker, and it builds your brand very, very quickly. After the book, I did audio and video, and that's when everything started happening. But it started with the book. Book came first. So I highly recommend that you consider going, and if you can't make it, to do the online program.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And you especially, you're such a great example of that. I mean, you've built a solid career, and you probably could have done it without a book, but it likely opened doors a little easier.
It certainly made a big difference, and you're correct about it creates instant authority. It really does. And my first book was a Time Warner book, but my second book was a Barron's book, and they asked me to write it. So after I wrote my first book, they knew that I could do it. And they actually wanted me to write a book for students, which you're not going to say no to Barron's books.
No.
So I figured whoever else is going to write, it's going to be a competitor. So I'm going to make sure it's going to be me. But absolutely. And it also gives you a sense of accomplishment, I think. Even if it's a short book, you could write a short 40 to 60 page book in a day. And that could sometimes be all that you need in a business. It can be.
I'm so glad you said that, Howard, because a lot of people do think that it needs to be this big, long book.
Yeah.
Let me see. Hold on. I'm going out of the light here, but it's because
Sure.
I wanted. We have been doing all kinds of what we call these mini books like crazy, and that's all they are. It's like the equivalent of a chapter, and people you can sell them or you can give them away, but your book doesn't have to be a novel. It can be a small book, a mini book. It can, a business card book. That's what we call them.
Oh, you can write 12 small books and they're actually chapters, and then you combine them into a big book later. So that way you're making money as you're creating your book. So there's a lot of ways to slice and dice it, and Michelle is the expert. So again, I wanted to thank her for coming. You have her information on the screen. I hope you take advantage. She's actually based, I know this workshop's in Florida, but Michelle is here in McKinney where I live.
Yes, I know. I love it. I do it in Dallas sometimes, but I love the beach, so we're doing it.
We should get together. I mean, we haven't seen each other. It's been far too long. So let's plan in the next few weeks. Get something going. Get together somewhere and have lunch.
We can meet down on the square.
Yeah, my wife works there.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, you know where she works? She works at the spa, Esoteric. Oh, you know her from the spa?
Well, I've met her several times with you through the
Oh,
years.
okay. I wasn't sure if you went to the spa or not. That's where she is now. They're having a meeting tonight.
Aww.
So she's down there now. I'm gonna be after this. I have to take care of my dog, give him its supper and walk him around the block. But I want to thank you for coming tonight. I'm always interested in what you're doing, and I'd like to stay in touch this time. And instead of 5 or 6 years, let's make it like 1 or 2 weeks.
A month. Thank you, Howard. I so appreciate it.
I appreciate you. So that's it for tonight. I want to thank everyone for watching the video. Make sure you write down the information, bookboundbythesea.com or bookboundonline.com. And thank you again, Michelle. And I'm going to close the meeting. Thank you, everyone, and good night. Okay, I'm going to close off the recorder.